Hello and welcome to The Full Moon Effect. My name is Patrick.
And I'm Kaz.
And this is the podcast completely dedicated to a film-by-film analysis of full moon features and the work of Charles Band. On this, our second episode, we'll be discussing Full Moon number 64, The Occultist, directed by Tim Kincaid. Yes, a movie that must be experienced, or should not be experienced, but we experienced it, and we'll be talking to you about it. First, though, I think we are going to have our first news segment. So it's one of my ideas with podcasts that will kind of run down some of the behind-the-scenes happenings with full moon features and bring everyone up to speed on cool full moon and full moon-related things that are going on. Sound like a good idea?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to the news then. First of all, the big news, I don't want to bury the lead, is that Full Moon Streamings, their streaming service, has recently relaunched with new categories and subcategories and a lot of new films. They've redesigned the whole site to make it a lot easier to use. And it's how we'll be watching a lot of the movies that we'll be talking about on the podcast coming up here. So everyone interested in Full Moon, and definitely if you're going to be watching the movies along with us for Full Moon Effect, you probably want to check out this pretty great streaming service. I actually am a big fan of it. Not only does it have all of the Full Moon features and they add new stuff every week, it's also got a lot of great Grindhouse films and movies licensed from Blue Underground and Something Weird Video, who do a lot of just terrific, bizarre little scene films. Some great stuff. So it's great for lovers of cult cinema. Right now, at the time of this recording, and I don't think for too much longer, they are offering a deal where if you sign up for a 1-year subscription, that's about $65, you get 6 free Blu-rays or 6 free DVDs of your choosing, plus a $50 gift card to use at Full Moon Direct. I don't think that offer is going to be going much longer, so people definitely want to jump on that. If you haven't subscribed to this service, go do that, and we'll provide a link for that below. In other Full Moon news, Delirium number 10 has recently been made available, at least for pre-orders. I think they're going to start shipping them pretty soon. So I don't know, you probably don't know, Kaz, Delirium is essentially Full Moon's official magazine. Like it's an actual like print magazine put up by Full Moon, and it was started by Chris Alexander, who also edits Fangoria.
Okay.
So they don't just talk about Full Moon movies.
I do like Fangoria.
Yeah. And I have a fondness just for horror magazines in general. I just think there's a great tradition.
The one I always
magazines and horror
indulge
magazines.
in is heavy metal, obviously.
Oh yeah, you're a big heavy metal guy.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Delirium is kind of like Full Moon Streaming in that they cover the Full Moon movies from kind of an insider perspective. Like Stuart Gordon writes for the magazine. Charles Band, of course, has a regular column. But they also cover other weird cult cinema, so it's not just Full Moon. So it's definitely worth checking out. The 10th issue is available now. It's not carried in stores. You have to order it directly or get a subscription. And again, we'll provide a link for that below. The new issue has a Psycho 2 cover and an interview with that film's director, Tom Holland. So it looks like a pretty good one. I'm looking forward to getting my issue, and people definitely want to check that out. In other things to read news, Kaz, do you like comic books?
Of course I do. You know I do.
Yeah. Well, I do too. And did you know that there are comic books based on your favorite Full Moon movies and characters?
No, I did not.
Well, there are, and they are published by Action Lab Entertainment under their Action Lab Danger Zone, which is kind of their adults-only imprint. They've been putting out an absolutely terrific Puppet Master series.
And that's a series that you should be able to find at a comic book store, because the one I frequent, for instance, a few of the ones I frequent, they do have those Puppet Master comics.
Well, they should. The Puppet Master are absolutely terrific. They've also done Transfers comics, and now they have started a Ginger Dead Man miniseries. So, of course, based on the character immortalized by Gary Busey in the film of the same name. Ginger Dead Man number 1 was released recently. It's written by Brockton McKinney with art by Sergio Rios, and it's pretty crude, lewd humor, very violent as you would expect. So Ginger Dead Man fans definitely want to check out Ginger Dead Man number 1. Finally, in things to buy, Kaz, I know you are a fan of collectible figures and statues and things like that. Yes. So people who are into that kind of thing definitely will want to be aware of a Reanimator figure that's come out, which I do not think there are a lot of Reanimator figures.
No, and I actually
out there.
saw. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
On the sites I frequent had a image of that. It looks very
cool.
Good.
Yeah. So it's a Herbert West figure from Reanimator. It's put out by a company called Amok Time Toys, part of their Monstars line.
Yes, then they do a pretty decent job with the detail on their figures. So they're good. I used to have a one of their figures. I think it was for like Frankenstein or something like that. Yeah, I mean, it was a good quality figure. It held up fine. I mean,
yeah, they seem like a company that's pretty good at doing this kind of stuff. And this figure looks like it's sort of in line with the reaction figures that I think Funko puts out. If you've seen those kind of small retro style toys on the cardboard backing.
Right, they're not like they won't fall apart. They're real sturdy, like just very nostalgic looking figures. Of
So they've done a Reanimator, which is great. I mean, that movie has such a cult following, and I don't think there's a lot of like toys or anything out there that I'm aware of. So this one, it's 3.75 inches, so it's like that small action figure scale. There's 9 points of articulation. It comes with a couple of accessories, including a syringe of the reagent, of course. And it's $14.99. You can order it from Amok Time Toys, and I'm gonna put it on my I think my birthday list. I would like to have one of these in the full moon or the Full Moon Effect studio here. I think it would be a nice accessory.
Right.
So if anyone wants to buy me a Herbert West Reanimator figure, you can go right ahead. And that pretty much does it for the news.
Yes.
Which means it is now time to jump into our feature discussion of 1989's cinematic masterpiece, The Occultist, directed by Tim Kincaid. I don't know what to say about this movie, so I'm going to throw it over to my co-host Kaz, and he's going to attempt to summarize this film for us. Kaz, go right ahead.
Oh man, where do we start with The Occultist?
Where to start?
Well, I mean, the best way to summarize the movie is that there is an occult that is kind of treated as more of like a religion from a certain region of the world that if I remember correctly, I think it was somewhere in South America.
Yeah, it was this vague kind of made up South American
like
type
society that apparently is like wealthy enough that it has like good trade relations with the U.S. or something, and then that they're visiting the U.S. and they're to have like a press conference about I cannot remember what.
Who knows?
But the point being is that they try to hire security for the event, and the two competing like firms, I guess, are these kind of hole in the wall, really low key security. I mean, you wouldn't think that like a prime political like convoy would just be protected by a.
They basically just hire some dudes in weird shirts.
Early on in the movie, it's kind of established that they must have their office near like a pier or some kind of docking area for like major trade liners or something that are like docking in the city, because they're always having conversations outside near the office near like a bunch of giant ships and everything.
Which I think is pretty much just where the filmmakers were able to get permission to film at that moment.
Right. And
so
it was around a bunch of factories and everything, but we're supposed to take them seriously as like some kind of big time security firm that's hit troubled waters because the current owner, who's inherited from his dad, the dad died, which they established very thoroughly in the beginning
they mentioned 10 times. And really, it didn't really end up having that much bearing on
No, and, apparently he was also to be married as well. Like, he was engaged, and that didn't become relevant at all.
No. Not at all.
And they established that, they've hit rough times, so this is like a big deal for them to have like this job protecting this royal family from this like this country.
A big contract for them. Okay, I'm with you so far.
And that there's this, and it's established early in the film too that there's this other, I guess, security firm that's kind of shady.
Yeah.
It's like usually with four guys that are always perfectly in alignment with each other, standing and staring creepily off at whatever the hell they're looking at.
And they always wear matching shirts.
Yes, there's two guys in particular that always looked like they wore the same exact shirt. Light blue with khakis or striped purple with khaki.
Yes.
It was,
yeah, they were always...
I didn't know if they were trying to establish them as twins or what the hell was going on there, but...
Well, I think it was really supposed to be that all three of them were supposed to be wearing the same outfits, but they couldn't quite, like, get it together. Like, they would have two guys in, like, a light blue shirt, and the other guy would have, like, a darker blue.
Yeah.
And my sense was just that they just couldn't come up with a third matching outfit for that particular scene.
Right.
I mean, beyond the specifics of the plot, I hope one thing that's coming through is that this is a very bad movie.
Yes.
It has a very unnecessarily complicated plot, but in a way that was
because
so go on. There are many more elements.
Yes, when it goes to like the actual like summit meeting or whatever between like the country and some of these like joint partners or whatever you want to call them, they it's established before that even that like the daughter, I guess, doesn't really particularly care for the political situation of her country.
Yep.
The daughter of these like the royal family or whatever. Yep. This like country, and she's just she's at odds with her mom. She gets attacked by, I'm assuming to be members of like a rebel group, it's never really clearly established, I think, at any point who the two lackeys that continuously attack throughout the film are, whether they're from the occults and like trying to kidnap her and bring her back to like that religion or something, or if it's just the rebel groups that want to overthrow the royal family.
Very, very vague.
But the best man from this, our main, I want to say the good security firm, not the shady one, is this superhuman-like person is the best way to describe it, because it's never established whether he's a robot or just like a freaking cyborg.
Or...
the description of the movie actually labels him as just a superhuman. So,
so there you
I'm
go.
going with that. He shows up on the scene and rescues the daughter from whomever it is by using a knife that launches the head off of the holster with a spring, and it launches up and actually hits the guy against a tree, like his arm.
And this happens pretty early on in the movie, and I think this is definitely a key moment in the film in that we're like, oh, it's going to be this kind of movie. Like, it's just weird, crazy, low budget, what the fuck moments.
And then we get our first experience of what is to be a common theme throughout the movie, where immediately after something terrible goes down, everyone just suddenly turns calm and collected and has an expository like conversation.
Yeah, basically the rhythm for this movie is weird gonzo, poorly choreographed violence, followed by complete calm and long, needless scenes of exposition delivered by very wooden actors.
Guns, gentlemen. What were you shooting at? Certainly not the help.
Are you kidding? Who works here? Ninja butlers?
I mean, that's pretty
that will literally
much
just like stay straight like this and be like,
yes.
Oh, so that's what it was all along.
Yes. It was a setup. Yeah, this is basically the pattern of the movie.
And anyways, at the party, I'm guessing the guy, I'll call him Mr. He was called the Gunman.
The Gunman. Well, his name was Waldo.
His real name was Waldo, but he was referred to as the Gunman.
Yeah.
Even though the first thing we ever see him do was a knife, and after that they establish him as the Gunman. So it's kind of like, until he starts using actual firepower, it's kind of like, why is he called the Gunman? Right. He just used a knife.
Yeah, yeah.
But it seems like he's trying to hit on the fucking daughter to get information, I guess. And then
and she's not having it.
And then she kind of lets on that she's, again, for the rebels, the uprising in the country.
Yep.
And she has a confrontation with her mother before what seemingly is the rebels show up and gun everyone down in the party, including the father and the secretary, which is a unnecessary character that's like given more screen time.
Oh yeah, I think he was supposed to be kind of comedic relief.
Yes, really, and then she kind of introduces the whole general character who becomes the main bad guy later on in the film.
Yeah, he ended.
But anyways, people get killed. They have like a scene where no cops show up, no ambulance. They just all start having their expository dialogue scene when there's dead bodies all around them.
Yeah, just step over the bodies and talk for a while.
They go to a security room, surmise that like they were killed beforehand. They get attacked by the random goons again.
Mm-hmm. More random goons.
And one of the most brilliantly bad fight scenes I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And then they run off. Not even 10 seconds later, they're calm about the situation. Gunman walks in, and they just have another dialogue scene. Like, they're not even going to try and find these people.
No, there's exposition to be delivered. They can't be bothered with following
And it
up.
leads to the brilliant idea that one of the heads of the security firm, he's just like, it was a setup. It was all a setup.
Just keeps repeating this.
He just keeps... The other guy is rightly confused, like the inheritor of the security from with the dead father.
Yeah.
He's all like, "Wait, why?
Like, what
How?
the fuck? Yeah.
How is it like? It's all phony." And then he's just reiterating that he thinks it's a setup without actually explaining why he thinks it is.
Right.
I mean, we just saw these people get gunned down,
Right.
mind you, and I'm assuming they're still dead. It never shows that they were taken to a hospital.
Yeah.
People came to check on them or anything. Even the secretary was
Although a
gunned
couple
down.
of them end up being alive at the
Yes,
end too.
the secretary.
Without any real explanation.
The secretary is gunned down, and it's like, "Do you think she's okay?" It's like, "We'll have to wait and see."
Right. Yeah, so she's apparently dead.
They don't bother to actually check her pulse.
Yeah, they
or
say,
anything.
well, we'll just wait it out. We're just going to let her sit. We'll see what happens. And indeed, she does end up showing up later in the movie with her arm in a sling.
So she was clearly shot, which begs the question of how they faked the dad's death, because the dad of the royal family is seemingly killed.
Yeah.
But then you find out that the one dude's stupid idea of it all being a fake was actually correct.
Yeah.
And the father was actually still alive.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing one of the rebels had, like, a paint gun or something, and he just shot him in the chest. And I don't know.
But then they kill the dad later anyway.
Yes, they drown him.
Yeah.
And the funny thing was, I don't really get the context of the scene, because it seemed like he was trying to wake him up initially.
Well, why did he keep why did he keep him alive just to...
Well, that's what I mean. It seems like he made a freak decision to have to kill the guy.
Uh-huh.
But I don't understand what led to that decision, because
No.
it shows him trying to wake the dad up.
Yeah.
And then he mentions something about, I guess, drugs or something. I picked up, I think.
Okay.
And then the
Makes as
dad
much sense as
never
everything else.
gets to say a line or anything before he gets murdered again. So, I mean...
Yeah. So this movie basically made no sense,
Right.
is what you're saying.
And to wrap it all up, there's an occult. The occult is to eventually reveal to be that it's this repressed religious group, I guess, within the country that, the grandma of the daughter and the mother of, like, the royal family, she's a part of this cult, and they tried to separate themselves from that culture. And,
right.
when they get reunited, like, the moms, like, they're all initially so happy to see them, and then they find out how fucking crazy they are, that they skin people and kill people. And it's like, we were doing this for you, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, we wanted to make it better for us, like,
Right.
mother. And then the mom kills the mother. And great security firm, by the way. They always let the women wander off by themselves while they're standing way in the background, looking on in amazement as they get murdered or attacked.
Yeah, I don't think our ostensible heroes in the security firm actually ever prevent anything bad from happening.
Except for the Goonies. Except for the two lackeys that show up constantly.
Yeah.
That are like the Team Rocket of this scenario or something. They can't ever get anything right.
Yeah.
And, the gunman has to do his, he slams his shoe on the chair, and it fires a gun out from his shoe.
Yeah.
That's one way he dispatches up people.
Yep.
He literally has a gun in his fingers.
Apparently, yes.
Which is why I don't know if he's a robot or what the fuck's going on, but he shoots the main villain, who's the general, who was, like, the orchestrator of this entire thing. The dad was actually in on it at first. He faked the rebel uprising.
Oh, man, this is...
But, the general, too, is the main baddie at the end.
Yeah.
And he gets killed,
Yeah.
wasted by... gun hand shooting up through his crotch, through his head.
Yeah.
So,
pretty impressive.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But, I mean, and that's the movie pretty much in a nutshell. The rival security firm doesn't really play much at all, except for one of them getting skinned alive by the occult. The rest of them are just... They try to build them up like they're this secondary villain, I guess, but they never really do anything. They're just always shadily walking around the city, always coming across, like, the occult doing something, or, peeping in on something, and main dude going like, "Oh, we're going to make money off this," or something.
Right. I mean, maybe they were supposed to be kind of like a red herring, like, oh, you're supposed to think like maybe they are behind everything.
Which I think is probably what they were doing, but they didn't really establish it well. And they kind of killed the point of that almost like 3/4 of the way through the film when they reveal that the whole thing was a setup by the father.
Right.
So then there was no reason to even have the rival firm anymore. Right. And then they have this like really weird scene where they show up towards the end observing the occult from above on this like balcony or something. And they're like, "We're like the only people that know about this going on or something.
Right.
Why is that relevant?
Right.
Why are you here?
Why are you here?
And
ultimately,
nothing comes of it. You never see what happens to the rest of the members of that four.
Right.
You just see the one dude get
The
killed.
one guy gets skinned.
But he pulls out a gun initially, like he's gonna go in and like, what is it? Gun down the occult?
Yeah. It's very You don't really. They never really kind of tie up that whole plot thread. So
Well, that's the movie.
that's
That's the movie.
So-
just in a nutshell.
so very needlessly convoluted plot. Incredibly wooden acting and bad dialogue, endless scenes of exposition, kind of an everything but the kitchen sink quality in the fact that we've got voodoo, we've got maybe a cyborg robot guy.
He's a superhuman man. He's a superhuman man.
Yeah. So there's just a lot of like elements thrown in here. This movie is just basically a complete mess. I mean, if it's good, it's definitely in the so bad it's good category.
Right.
Correct. Yes.
You're right. It was a fun movie to watch because of how bad it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was... Favorite scene in this film? Me
Oh.
personally, I mean, I was breaking up pretty badly at the whole gun in hand thing. What was the one scene? I think it was when the lady was holding the knife after she stabbed the daughter. She's just like, the old ways never die.
Yes, that is perfect. You guys don't even need to see the movie now. Kaz can just do these.
I mean, that one just had me bawling. It was just...
Well, I think my favorite scene would have to be the men's room sequence, though.
Yes,
we didn't even talk about.
I forgot about that one. Yeah.
Now what?
We track Esteve.
How? We don't know where the hell he went.
I've got a pretty good idea.
Yeah?
Now's not the time to find out, Barney.
Barney, there are some things about this business you don't want to know.
So where do we go from here?
Where else?
I'm guessing his dick is a gun.
Was there anything in this movie which, admittedly, was bad? They barely knew how to make a film here. The people who made this, it seemed. Was there anything in it though that you thought actually worked? Because I always like to find the little moments in these movies
that worked.
That actually kind
that
of like
worked
in the way they're supposed to. Was there anything here at all?
It was terrible.
It was pretty bad all the way through.
Some of the effects had like some of the effects had a kind of like hokey fun quality.
Yeah,
and they were like executed well enough, but in certain regards, the blood effects were terrible though.
You thought so?
But no, I mean the way they framed shots were boring and uninteresting.
This is nothing.
Nothing engaged you in this film like with the way they shot it. It was just a lot of just still shots of people talking, far off shots of people talking. And
the sound, it was not
the
good.
sound was very uneven. There was times where you could barely hear what the hell they were saying.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of times, I mean, even the dialogue was so poorly written. I mean, it's not delivered well by these wooden actors, but the dialogue is poorly done. And it's funny, like a lot of the times you would just have a character make a statement and then another character say, "What? What? What?" Like very often, like characters saying, "What? What?" to
also
have them
there was
clarify
there was a lot of scenes in the first half of the movie where they would literally repeat what they just said.
Yeah.
So like as a point to emphasize it, but it just got annoying after a while.
Right. Yeah, no, it was pretty poorly done on every level. I guess other than just like the charm of like a so bad it's good movie and having fun watching that kind of thing. I guess if I had to pick something that sort of worked, I did sort of appreciate like some of the practical effects in this movie.
Yes.
I mean, for a super low budget film where they didn't really seem to know how to put together scenes very well, they did kind of know how to pull off these special effects. I mean, I've seen worse effects, I mean, they had people skinned alive. It looked okay, you know.
Yes.
When the one girl gets her throat kind of slit at the very
pops
beginning of the movie,
out, like
I can't tell you what that scene was about or who that girl was or how it connected to the rest of the plot.
Right.
I thought it looked kind of cool. You thought it was kind of silly.
Let's talk about that opening scene though, because that was probably one of the highlights of the film, honestly, just because of how hilarious it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the movie completely starts up with our 4 guys from the rival security firm just like show up, and they're perfectly lined up like a Beatles album or something like that. They're just like staring off across the lake at this location. I guess
what are they looking at?
I guess there's like that island that keeps getting shown in the background all the time. I guess where the occult stuff takes place.
Okay.
They're like looking at that.
Okay, but they can't see what's going on inside.
They just, I guess they know about it. It's let on that they know about this place.
Okay.
I think maybe that the dad actually was the ones that hired them or something. I think it was established.
Yes.
So maybe they were somewhat in on it. I have no clue, but anyways,
it's very confusing.
They stand there looking off. The leader of the crew kind of makes some vague statement, and then we cut to a shot of the occult just acting crazy, like in their dances. There's one guy that's just standing still, and he's going,
yeah, yes,
like doing
perfect
that.
Impression.
There's a tubby red shirt wearing guy that's just kind of going like on the side. My favorite was actually the Cuba Gooding Jr. lookalike who had like a maraca or something, who was just going.
So clearly these cult members were not on the same page in terms of what they were supposed to be doing during this scene. It was pretty much just
the one girl that was raising the roof.
Yeah,
it was just a lot of like unorthodox dancing.
Yes.
And it cuts to a shot of like these 3 individuals on top of a balcony, looking down at the whole ordeal, and then there's this woman in a yellow shirt who I'm now led to believe after seeing the movie that she was some kind of like political figure from the country.
Must have been.
And she was looking at this whole thing going on, and they eventually start skinning and like killing this one. The guy who was dancing.
Yeah. My favorite.
Maybe they hated his
character.
dancing. I have no clue.
It's understandable. He kind of had it coming with the dancing.
Anyways, they start skinning him alive and killing him, and he's taking it in stride at first. He's not even reacting until like towards the end. He just leans up and screams. But I'm like, dude, you were getting peeled a moment ago, like a potato. You're not even reacting.
That was very weird. Yeah, I don't know if he was maybe supposed to be in maybe he's in a trance and he was like coming out of it.
I'm guessing that's what they were going for, but.
Very weird.
The woman up on the balcony sees this and she's like, we have to stop them! We have to stop them!
Yeah.
And the dad, who's later revealed to be the dad of like the royal family, is standing behind her and then like ends up fucking killing her.
Yeah.
Like,
which I still don't really get that plot point. Like, why
were they there first off, like even watching that?
Yeah, like what was the dad's relationship to the cult?
Yeah, well, I mean, it seemed like the mom was obviously connected with the cult.
The mom was part of the cult.
Yeah.
He didn't know they were killing people, but she was part of it.
And the dad, the dad, I guess, wanted to stage an uprising so he could declare martial law or something in the...
Oh, see, I was thinking the dad wasn't in on that conspiracy.
No, I think... That's the thing, though, because, like, you never get him... You never... After you find out that they faked the whole killing thing of the dad.
You never hear
and you find out that he
from the
was
dad.
in on it. Like, you never have him explain what his motivation was.
See,
like,
I didn't even necessarily... They probably said this and I missed it, but didn't even necessarily think that the dad was in on it. I thought, like, the mom was in on it, but...
I would have to see that particular moment when they reveal the whole fake thing
again. But then we'd have to watch the movie again.
Yeah.
So,
but no, like...
go down that route.
But the dad's there. I mean, the reason I made the connection was because it's almost like the dad doesn't want the occult to be stopped because it's his way of like giving him the power to declare the martial law. I thought that's how it was being established, which is why he killed her, because she knows about it now and she would bring to light, I guess, the occult.
He doesn't want the cult to stop. That is so needlessly convoluted. Like, if that's the explanation, that is so...
But
like,
it just begs the question of why the hell they were there in the first place watching the occult do their shit. Why is the other security firm like in on this and knowing about the occult?
Oh, Jesus. Alright, I'm getting a headache trying to like wrap my head around this thing. We did have fun watching it. You got to say we had fun watching it.
Yes.
All right. So we watched Puppet Master in our first episode. This movie makes that look like Citizen Kane, right? So between the two movies, there's a big kind of dip in production values here. I think that's because this is not like a real Full Moon movie in the sense that it was not produced by Full Moon Entertainment. It was produced uncredited. Probably a wise choice on his part, by Charles Bands. I think it was part of... Hard to find information about this movie online, right? This is there are not fan sites dedicated to The Occultist, which also has been released under the title Maximum Thrust, by the way, which is a great title, but doesn't really have anything to do with the movie. Yes, Kaz done. He's out. 2 episodes in... I've destroyed him.
Maximum Thrust.
So this was put out by, I think, a company that usually referred to itself as Beyond Infinity Productions. It was only in operation for a few years, from 1986 to 1989. And those were the people actually responsible for this movie. So they obviously had some relation to Charles Band, but I think it kind of like bridged the gap between the theatrical like Empire films and the direct-to-video Full Moon. Okay. So this kind of is in this weird like in-between space, obviously like micro-budgeted. They also put out movies like Assault of the Killer Bimbos, Sorority Babes and the Slimeball Bolorama, and Creepazoids. So that gives you kind of an idea of the level of production company we're dealing with. All great films, I'm sure. Many of which I hope to talk about in future episodes of this podcast. But that's kind of who we're dealing with here. So yeah, we'll kind of wrap up our discussion here with... usually I would like to do a breakdown of the cast and crew.
Yeah, sure.
But this movie was a real resume killer. There is not the cast did not go on to do many things that I was able to determine. Probably the most well-known guy in the movie is Rick Giannossi, who played Waldo Warren, the gunman, the superhuman cyborg.
Superhuman cyborg gunman.
Yeah, Kaz, I don't know if you're a fan of trauma films at all.
I've seen a few.
Like stuff like Toxic Avenger. But Rick Giannossi, who played Waldo Warren in this movie, was also in Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD, which is one of the better ones. Yes, which is one of... I don't
recall where he showed up, I guess.
Movie.
I
don't know if he's...
I've seen it, but I don't recall him. Yeah. I can't put the face to the movie, I guess.
So he was in that movie. He was also in Mutant Hunt, which was also released by Beyond Infinity and also directed by Tim Kincaid. Joe Derrig played Barney. I guess, was that the guy who was the chief?
He was the chief of the firm, whatever that was. Like, this is all fake. This is all phony.
Yeah, he did a movie that I think is a comedy called She's Back with Carrie Fisher, also directed by Tim Kincaid, and also a film called Enemy Territory. The other actors in this movie, like Richard Mooney and Jennifer Cantor, did this film and not much else. At least as far as
And surprisingly enough, Richard Mooney was the one I was most familiar with.
What do you know him from?
I've seen a few other like really crappy movies that he was in. I think he's uncredited in this movie called The Item, I believe.
Okay, I've heard of that.
I think it's him in there. Like the face looked very familiar to me, like the name, like I've seen him somewhere.
Yeah, so not...
I've watched a lot of crappy movies.
Yeah. So not a lot of work done by this... Really, how could you follow up The Occultist, though? I mean, once you've done that, it's just like... Yeah, that's it. I'm out. This is your statement. I was able to find a lot more information about the director, Tim Kincaid, though, who's had a really interesting career. So these kind of horror cult sci-fi movies, and he did a bunch of these with Charles Band and Beyond Infinity Productions. Or a handful, I should say. They were really kind of a detour in his career, it seems. He's probably best known under the name... let me see, I've got it here, Joe Gage, and he directed a trilogy of gay films in the 1970s that actually, I guess, went on to be fairly influential on gay cinema and gay culture at the time. They had titles like Kansas City Trucking Corp, El Paso Wrecking Corp, and L.A. Tool and Die.
I've actually heard of that.
Yeah, so these, and in fact, like the types of like hyper masculinized men he would like use in these movies would sometimes be referred to as Joe Gage men. Like, it was a type that was kind of known in the gay subculture at that time.
Oh, okay.
So he's pretty well known for these movies. He has also done a ton of adult pornographic features. That is primarily what he has spent his career doing, and he's still making them today. He had a movie come out in 2015. He apparently did a popular series of films called the Men's Room series that deal with water sports, and I'm not talking about water polo when I say that, Kaz, if you catch my drift.
There's a sport out there for everyone.
There's a sport, pick your sport and go for it. So, so Tim Kincaid, I was kind of surprised to find out, has done mostly pornographic films, often gay-themed, but thank God for fans of these types of movies that he's done a smattering of horror and sci-fi films, like The Occultist.
I mean, it's certainly just a good, fun watch. I mean, just to see the train wreck that it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had a good time watching it. So yeah, that's kind of what I was able to dig up on our cast and crew. So any kind of final thoughts on our movie? Would you recommend that people check out The Occultist, Kaz?
If you like The Occultist, I guess like a good one to check out would be probably like. I'm just gonna plug this one, The Item. Go watch The Item.
All right.
It's got a lot of the similar feel of like the pointless expository like dialogue scenes of people, but it has just this really ridiculous charm as far as like the action scenes where it's just so weirdly shot. And people, like when they're running, they're like sliding across the floor in a wide shot. I don't freaking understand it, but it's a great movie.
So for fans of So Bad It's Good movies,
watch The Item.
Yeah, The Item and The Occultist is
there is a scene of Muppet sex in it, is all I'm going to say. Like where a woman actually interacts sexually with a Muppet thing.
All right.
So
all right. Well, another film series that has had women interacting with little puppets and creatures is actually the Evil Bong series from Full. Well, you're in luck, because in our next episode we will be talking about a brand new film from Full Moon Features, which is set to be released on 4/20, April 20th, appropriately enough. Evil Bong High Five.
I think we should try to shoot for that exact date to do it.
Oh, I would love it. So that is that. That will end our discussion of The Occultist and pretty much wrap it up for this episode of Full Moon Effect. You can like Full Moon Effect on Facebook. Don't you want people to like us, Kaz?
Yeah, I crave social acceptance.
We really want to be liked, so you can go ahead and like us on Facebook, and of course subscribe to the YouTube channel, like this video, and leave a comment. That would be great to get a little bit of a discussion going. I already talked about the next episode, so
there's your other podcast.
Oh yes, thank you, Kaz. I do run another podcast under the Patrick Markfort YouTube channel called Brain Says Strange Things. I co-host that one with my brother, a general discussion of horror films. Thank you. Yes. So check that out as well. And that will do it for Full Moon Effect. Until next time, I'm Patrick.
And I'm Kaz.
And we'll see you on the next episode of Full Moon Effect. Bye for now.